Have you ever woken up in the morning, looked at the clock, and thought, why do I still feel tired? I slept all night. Well, you're definitely not alone. Many men today are struggling with exactly that, waking up without energy, losing motivation, and feeling that spark slowly fade away. It's not just about sleep, it's about what's really happening inside the body. Now, in my years of studying health and physiology, I've found that when men start losing energy and drive, it often points to an imbalance, sometimes in hormones, sometimes in lifestyle, and sometimes in the mind itself. We live in a world full of stress, poor nutrition, and lack of proper rest. The body can't perform at its best under constant pressure. But the good news is you can turn this around. By understanding how your body works and making a few consistent lifestyle adjustments, you can wake up refreshed, restore your motivation, and start feeling more like yourself again. So, let's break this down clearly and practically, why this happens, and most importantly, what you can do starting today to fix it. Hormonal and lifestyle imbalance drains energy and motivation in ways most people overlook. When you wake up feeling tired even after a full night's sleep, your body is signaling that something deeper is out of sync. The human body depends on a delicate balance of hormones like testosterone, cortisol, and insulin to maintain energy, mood, and drive. These hormones don't work in isolation. They form an intricate system where one imbalance affects the rest. For example, when stress levels are high, cortisol rises and stays elevated. That chronic elevation suppresses testosterone production, reduces sleep quality, and leads to constant fatigue. Over time, that imbalance not only affects energy, but also reduces mental sharpness and motivation. Many men push through it thinking it's just age or exhaustion, but in truth the problem is often lifestyle-related. Lack of movement, poor nutrition, irregular sleep patterns, and constant mental stress create the perfect storm for hormonal disruption. When you stay up late scrolling on your phone, skip meals, or rely on processed foods for convenience, your body is forced to adapt to unnatural rhythms. It begins producing more stress hormones while reducing those responsible for recovery and regeneration. This leads to lower energy during the day, poor sleep at night, and a general feeling of being off. The body doesn't just need calories, it needs nutrients that communicate with hormones to tell the body when to rest, when to burn fat, and when to build energy. Without proper nutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D, the endocrine system weakens. Testosterone levels may dip, which directly impacts motivation and emotional stability. What often starts as a few nights of poor sleep or irregular meals gradually becomes a cycle where the body is always compensating, but never truly recovering. Another major factor is physical inactivity. Men who used to be active but now lead sedentary lives experience a slow but steady decline in muscle tone, blood flow, and hormonal vitality. Exercise isn't just about building muscle, it's a signal to the body that it needs to stay strong and alert. Regular physical activity, particularly resistance training, helps regulate insulin, increase testosterone, and lower stress hormones. When that signal disappears, the body adjusts to a lower baseline of energy. You may notice tasks feel heavier, focus becomes harder, and motivation seems to fade. This happens because the brain and body are tightly connected. When the body moves less, the brain releases fewer endorphins, leading to a duller mood and slower thinking. Modern living also adds another invisible stressor: constant exposure to artificial light and digital stimulation. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, the hormone that helps you fall asleep and stay asleep deeply. Over time, this leads to circadian rhythm disruption. Even if you sleep 8 hours, the quality of that sleep may be poor, leaving you tired the next morning. When melatonin levels drop and cortisol stays elevated late at night, it confuses the body's internal clock. The next day you feel drained, your appetite changes, and your ability to concentrate weakens. This further pushes hormonal balance off track, setting up a loop that continues unless you intervene consciously. Dietary habits play a central role as well. Many men underestimate how much sugar and refined carbohydrates affect energy regulation. High sugar diets spike insulin, leading to rapid energy bursts followed by crashes. Over time, this creates insulin resistance, which not only causes fatigue but also influences testosterone production. A diet lacking in whole foods, healthy fats, and proteins deprives the body of the building blocks needed to maintain hormonal health. The liver, which processes hormones, becomes sluggish under constant stress and poor nutrition. When it can't detoxify efficiently, hormones linger in the bloodstream longer than they should, further skewing balance. This can manifest as brain fog, low drive, or chronic fatigue, symptoms that are often dismissed but have a real biochemical foundation. Sleep quality also feeds into this hormonal equation. Men who don't get enough deep sleep miss out on the phase when testosterone is primarily produced. If your nights are filled with interruptions or your sleep schedule changes frequently, your body never enters that restorative stage fully. The result is a subtle but steady decline in natural energy production over weeks and months that compounds into chronic tiredness. Combine that with stress, poor diet, and little movement, and you've got a perfect environment for fatigue to thrive. It's not that the body can't recover, it's that it's never given the right conditions to do so. Stress is another critical player. When you live in a state of mental or emotional pressure, your body interprets that as danger. The adrenal glands produce more cortisol to help you cope, but that hormone, in excess, burns through nutrients like magnesium and vitamin C that are essential for calmness and focus. Over time, you might start to feel anxious or restless for no reason, and your sleep becomes lighter or shorter. This imbalance affects every system. Digestion slows, recovery weakens, and the body begins storing more fat, especially around the abdomen. That abdominal fat further interferes with hormonal activity because fat cells themselves produce estrogen, like compounds that suppress testosterone even more. This creates a downward spiral where physical tiredness feeds emotional fatigue, which in turn increases physical exhaustion again. Then there's the mental side of this imbalance. When hormones fall out of sync, the brain's neurotransmitters, like dopamine and serotonin, are affected. These chemicals are responsible for motivation, reward, and mood stability. So when testosterone dips or cortisol rises chronically, you may lose interest in the things you once enjoyed. Everyday tasks feel heavier. You procrastinate more. That's not just mental laziness, it's a biological effect of hormonal imbalance. The mind and body operate as one system, and when one side weakens, the other follows. Rebalancing starts with awareness. Once you recognize that constant fatigue and low motivation aren't signs of weakness, but symptoms of imbalance, you can begin to make small adjustments that restore equilibrium. Reducing processed foods, sleeping at consistent times, exercising regularly, and finding ways to relax daily can all help reset hormonal patterns naturally. Drinking enough water, spending time in natural light, and allowing moments of mental stillness tell your body that it's safe, that it can return to balance. The energy and motivation you once had are still within you. They're just buried under layers of modern habits that confuse your body's natural rhythm. When you begin to realign with those natural processes, the body responds quickly, often within days or weeks. Energy returns, focus sharpens, and that sense of inner drive slowly reignites. ChatGPT said poor sleep quality and chronic stress disrupt body recovery in ways that most people never fully understand. When you go to bed exhausted but wake up feeling no better, it's a clear sign that your body isn't entering the deep, restorative phases of sleep. Sleep is not just a passive state where you lie still, it's an active process during which your brain and body repair themselves. The nervous system calms down, tissues rebuild, and hormones like growth hormone and testosterone are released. But when stress levels remain high, the body struggles to relax enough to enter those healing stages. The mind keeps running even when the body is lying down, creating shallow, fragmented rest. The result is that you may technically sleep for 7 or 8 hours but wake up with the same level of fatigue as the night before, because the quality of that sleep was never truly restorative. Chronic stress is one of the most powerful disruptors of this process. The human body evolved to handle short bursts of stress, running from danger, facing a challenge, then returning to balance. But modern stress doesn't end. Work deadlines, financial concerns, social pressure, digital overload, they all keep the brain in a constant state of alertness. When the brain stays alert, it releases cortisol, the stress hormone, to keep the body ready for action. Elevated cortisol at night interferes with melatonin, the hormone responsible for sleep onset. This mismatch between day and night hormones flips the natural rhythm of the body. You might feel tired during the day and restless at night, which over time weakens the body's ability to regulate itself. As this imbalance continues, it starts to affect other systems too. The digestive system slows down because energy is constantly diverted toward managing stress. Nutrient absorption becomes less efficient, meaning the body doesn't get enough raw materials to repair itself overnight. The immune system becomes weaker, inflammation increases, and muscles take longer to recover from even small amounts of strain. Over months, this leads to a feeling of being worn out, not just physically but mentally. You may notice brain fog, reduced focus, and a lack of motivation, all because the body isn't getting true rest. The nervous system is like a battery that never gets fully charged. Each morning you start at 60 or 70% capacity, and over time that gap widens until you feel chronically depleted. Technology has also made this worse. Exposure to screens late at night tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. The blue light emitted from phones, computers, and televisions suppresses melatonin production, delaying the natural urge to sleep. Even when you finally close your eyes, the body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm, is out of sync with the environment. This misalignment affects everything: hormone release, digestion, mood, and metabolism. A disrupted circadian rhythm is like a poorly tuned orchestra where every instrument plays at the wrong time. Nothing feels balanced, and that lack of harmony expresses itself as fatigue, irritability, and reduced resilience. Another overlooked aspect is the emotional weight that chronic stress brings. When you carry unresolved worries into the night, your brain continues to process them while you sleep. This can lead to restless dreams, light sleep, or even waking up multiple times. The mind and body communicate constantly, so mental unrest becomes physical unrest. The muscles remain tense, breathing becomes shallow, and the heart rate stays slightly elevated even in bed. The body cannot heal properly in that state. Over time, this constant tension drains energy reserves, leaving you feeling heavy and unmotivated the next day. The body interprets this ongoing pressure as danger and prioritizes survival over recovery. That means hormones that promote growth, energy, and focus take a back seat, while stress hormones dominate the system. Poor sleep and chronic stress also interfere with glucose metabolism. When cortisol levels stay high, the body releases more glucose into the bloodstream for quick energy. But since you're not physically active at night, that glucose isn't used efficiently. The pancreas responds by releasing more insulin, which over time can make cells less sensitive to it. This leads to fluctuations in blood sugar levels, contributing to fatigue, cravings, and irritability. The brain, which relies heavily on stable glucose levels, starts to misfire when those levels swing too often. That's why stressed, sleep-deprived individuals often experience poor focus and emotional instability. Their brains are struggling to maintain balance while the body remains in a state of metabolic confusion. Stress also affects the gut, often called the second brain. When you're under constant pressure, digestion slows and the gut microbiome changes. These microorganisms play a key role in producing neurotransmitters like serotonin, which influences mood and sleep. A disrupted gut means fewer feel-good chemicals are being produced, reinforcing the cycle of stress and fatigue. Poor digestion means nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, and omega-3 fats, all critical for nervous system function, are not absorbed properly. The body begins to operate at a deficit, trying to run a complex system without enough fuel. That's why even small stresses feel overwhelming when you're tired. Your biological foundation is weakened by poor recovery. Physical tension is another byproduct of chronic stress that contributes to poor sleep. Many people carry their stress in their shoulders, neck, or lower back without realizing it. This constant muscular tension restricts blood flow and oxygen delivery, which the body needs to relax. When muscles remain tight, the nervous system stays activated, preventing the shift into the parasympathetic, or rest and digest, state required for deep recovery. You might fall asleep, but your body stays half alert, ready to respond to any perceived threat. That constant alertness means you never truly recharge. Over time, this can even affect posture, breathing patterns, and cardiovascular health. There's also a psychological component to this cycle. When someone experiences repeated nights of poor sleep, they start to expect it. They go to bed worrying that they won't sleep well again, and that worry itself becomes a form of stress. This anticipatory anxiety keeps the body from relaxing, ensuring another night of restlessness. It becomes a self-fulfilling loop. Stress prevents sleep, lack of sleep increases stress, and the pattern continues. Breaking it requires retraining both the body and the mind to trust the process of rest again. Simple practices like consistent bedtime routines, mindfulness, and deep breathing before sleep can signal to the body that it's safe to power down. Environmental factors also play a huge role. A noisy or bright bedroom, irregular room temperature, or an uncomfortable mattress can subtly keep the nervous system on edge. The body senses these disruptions even when you're not consciously aware of them. Small details like darkening the room, keeping it cool, and avoiding heavy meals or caffeine late in the day can make a surprising difference in restoring deep, uninterrupted rest. Over time, these changes allow cortisol to drop naturally at night and melatonin to rise, creating the hormonal environment your body needs to heal. Poor sleep and stress also create a perception of fatigue that extends beyond physical tiredness. It changes how you experience the world. Your patience shortens, creativity diminishes, and even joy feels muted. That's because the brain's emotional centers depend on adequate rest to function properly. Without it, you become more reactive, less adaptable, and more easily overwhelmed. What many people mistake for laziness or burnout is actually the cumulative effect of insufficient recovery. The body isn't unwilling to perform, it's unable. It's using its remaining energy to maintain basic functions, leaving little left for motivation or enthusiasm. Recognizing this helps shift the mindset from self-blame to understanding, which is the first step toward healing. Ultimately, poor sleep quality and chronic stress form a closed loop that keeps the body in survival mode. The nervous system never truly resets, the hormones stay imbalanced, and the mind keeps racing when it should be resting. Breaking this cycle requires awareness and small, consistent steps toward calmness. Things like winding down before bed, managing daily stress in healthy ways, and respecting the body's need for deep rest. When the body finally feels safe to relax, recovery begins naturally, energy starts to return, and the feeling of waking up tired begins to fade. Consistent healthy habits restore vitality and mental focus by allowing the body and mind to realign with their natural rhythm. The human body thrives on routine. It depends on predictable patterns to maintain energy, hormone balance, and emotional stability. When you live without structure, eating irregularly, sleeping at inconsistent times, skipping physical activity, and constantly exposing yourself to digital stimulation, your body struggles to find equilibrium. It's like a machine running without maintenance. It keeps working but with less efficiency and more strain. The power of consistency lies in giving your system clear signals about when to rest, when to be alert, and when to recover. Small, repeated actions done daily become the foundation for sustained energy, sharper focus, and a more balanced mood. When these habits are in place, your body doesn't have to waste energy adapting to chaos. It knows what to expect, and that predictability translates into strength, clarity, and resilience. One of the most powerful habits for restoring vitality is maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day helps regulate your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs your energy levels, hormones, and digestion. When you respect that rhythm, your body begins releasing melatonin naturally at night and cortisol in the morning, promoting both better rest and alertness. Many people underestimate how much regular sleep patterns affect mood and motivation. A consistent bedtime routine, dim lights, no screens, and a calm environment signals the brain that it's time to unwind. Over time, this habit builds reliability into your energy system. You no longer wake up feeling foggy or rely on caffeine to function, because your body has learned when to power down and when to recharge fully. Equally important is nutrition. What you eat and how regularly you eat it determines how efficiently your body produces and uses energy. Balanced meals rich in protein, fiber, and healthy fats stabilize blood sugar levels, preventing the spikes and crashes that lead to fatigue and irritability. Processed foods, excessive sugar, and irregular eating patterns confuse the body's metabolic rhythm. But consistent, nutrient-dense meals provide steady fuel, supporting hormonal balance and brain function. Simple adjustments like eating whole foods, staying hydrated, and avoiding heavy late-night meals can dramatically improve how your body feels and performs. The digestive system is deeply connected to energy regulation, and when it runs smoothly through consistent habits, the rest of the body follows suit. Movement is another cornerstone of vitality. Regular physical activity not only strengthens the body but also regulates mood and focus. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, releasing endorphins and supporting the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals are responsible for motivation, clarity, and emotional balance. The key isn't extreme workouts, it's consistency. Even moderate activity like walking, stretching, or light resistance training signals the body to stay youthful and alert. When exercise becomes a routine rather than a chore, it reshapes how the body uses energy throughout the day. Muscles become more efficient at burning fuel, the heart pumps stronger, and oxygen reaches the brain more effectively. This translates to better focus, a calmer mind, and greater endurance for both physical and mental tasks. Stress management plays a crucial role in maintaining that vitality. Modern life constantly exposes us to mental and emotional pressures, but the body isn't designed to stay in a state of tension indefinitely. Consistent habits like mindfulness, deep breathing, or short moments of quiet throughout the day teach the nervous system to return to a state of calm. When stress becomes a constant background noise, it drains energy reserves without you even realizing it. Building daily practices that lower stress, even simple things like stepping outside, focusing on breathing, or practicing gratitude, can shift your body out of survival mode and back into balance. Over time, this helps lower cortisol levels, improving sleep, digestion, and focus naturally. Hydration is another habit that often gets overlooked but makes a significant difference in how energized and alert you feel. Every cell in your body depends on water to function properly. Dehydration slows metabolism, reduces circulation, and even affects how your brain processes information. Making hydration a consistent habit, drinking water regularly throughout the day rather than only when thirsty, keeps your system running efficiently. Proper hydration supports kidney function, aids digestion, and helps transport nutrients where they're needed most. Even mild dehydration can make you feel tired and foggy, so something as simple as drinking enough water daily is a key step in restoring energy and focus. Another important element of consistency is exposure to natural light and time spent outdoors. The human body was designed to align with the natural cycles of daylight and darkness. When you spend most of your time indoors, your body's internal clock loses its cues for regulating sleep, energy, and mood. Making a habit of getting morning sunlight, even for 10 to 15 minutes, helps set your circadian rhythm for the day. Natural light suppresses melatonin and boosts serotonin, giving you more energy and mental clarity. Likewise, reducing artificial light exposure in the evening allows your body to wind down naturally. These small, consistent cues help synchronize your body's biological processes, creating a steady flow of energy and alertness throughout the day. Mental habits also shape vitality and focus. The way you think, react, and talk to yourself influences how your body responds to stress and fatigue. Consistent positive mental habits, practicing mindfulness, focusing on solutions instead of problems, setting daily goals, train your brain to operate more efficiently. Over time, this builds emotional resilience and reduces the mental clutter that drains energy. The mind thrives on clarity and order, and establishing routines around mental health is just as vital as physical ones. Writing down thoughts, taking short breaks, or spending a few minutes in reflection each day helps declutter the mind and restore focus. These actions might seem small, but their effects accumulate, rewiring the brain toward calmness and purpose. Social habits also influence energy and motivation. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people creates a sense of belonging that boosts emotional health. Human connection releases oxytocin, a hormone that reduces stress and promotes feelings of safety and contentment. Consistently spending time with friends, family, or a community gives you emotional fuel that strengthens mental focus and motivation. Isolation, on the other hand, can increase cortisol levels and make fatigue worse, making an effort to stay connected through conversations, shared meals, or simple check-ins reinforces a healthy mindset that supports overall well-being. One of the most effective ways to make healthy habits stick is to start small and build gradually. Many people try to change everything at once and end up burning out. The power lies in repetition. When you choose one small action, drinking a glass of water upon waking, stretching for 5 minutes, or turning off screens 30 minutes before bed, and do it daily, it becomes automatic. That automaticity reduces mental effort and frees up energy for other things. Over time, one good habit supports another, creating momentum that transforms your entire lifestyle. The body begins to trust your routine, responding with more stable energy, better digestion, improved sleep, and clearer thinking. Consistency also teaches discipline, and discipline brings freedom. When you no longer rely on willpower to make healthy choices, those choices become part of who you are. You wake up earlier because your body expects it, you eat well because it feels good, you exercise because it energizes you. These habits no longer require force, they flow naturally, and as they become ingrained, they reshape your identity into someone who feels balanced, energetic, and in control. This internal consistency restores not just physical vitality, but also mental focus and confidence. The chaos of fatigue and distraction begins to fade, replaced by a steady rhythm of clarity and strength that sustains you through each day.